So the problem is obvious. The driver's side view mirror is loose at the base. There is a broken mount. So stay tuned, we'll have a look. Okay, so you've seen the problem. This mirror right here has a real bad wobble in it because of a broken mount inside. So what we're going to do is just with a small handful of tools, remove the inside door panel, pull off the mirror. Let's get to work. Okay, among the first things to do, there's a little screw here, holds on that tray, and there's another screw in here which you won't be able to see unless we bring the camera around to the side here. So I'm just going to slip my little screwdriver in underneath, pry up on. There it is right there. And then underneath there are a couple of hex-headed screws that I'll remove with this little socket wrench. So I'm just going to leave it hanging like that because I'm not going to actually disconnect any components. I'm simply lifting the door panel off and I'm going to let it hang while I get into this area here. This is about the only specialized tool that you're going to find that you need. It's made by the Lyle company. You can make your own. You just need a piece of flat bar, cut a little groove in it, bend it, end in it. For instance, here's the diagram of what General Motors suggests your tool should look like. Anyway, they're underneath. You start at the bottom here. Just work your way in. Get in behind the mounts and I'll show you what they look like as soon as I've got them all undone and the door off, or the door panel off. Okay, last thing is there's a channel hooking into the door frame here, so you need to be able to just pop the whole thing upwards, just like that, and then it's free. And I just want to drop that through there. And as you can see, there's your inside of your door panel that this little fella comes in behind and pops free out of the holes that they mount into. Okay, these are little foam bushings. They're used to cover the access ports. So I'm going to pull them out very carefully. As you can see, just get in behind it with a screwdriver and chase it out through the front. Chase that one out through the front. We're going to go in with our 10 mil socket and start undoing the nut. Now, one of the problems with a recess like this is I'm afraid to drop the nut inside the door panel. So what I do is, instead of undoing them all the way, I can do them most of the way, and then I reach inside with my mechanical fingers and I undo it the rest of the way with a sure grip on the nut to make sure I don't drop it inside the door panel. And there she is. Two more like that and we're off. And the mirror pulls away nice and easy. And you can see there's an electrical connection here. Just pull back on this locking tab and it pulls apart very easily. The entire mirror comes off easily in one piece. And as you can see, there's 3 studs that come out, except the third one's broken. Service manual calls for 53 inch-pounds. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you here on this wheel nut that you can easily put 53 foot-pounds on with just one hand. You know, a foot-pound is obviously 12 inch-pounds, so it's 12 times the power we're going to require on these little nuts over here. Okay, I've dialed in 53 foot-pounds. Just wanted to show you how easy it is to make that kind of power, never mind the 53 inch-pounds, which is all you need on the studs to hang our side view mirror. So I'm just going to make some power. Let's just say like that. You see, I was only a foot out rather than the actual full 18 inches. Just do that real quick and prove. See that? I don't turn at all, and it's already saying 53 foot-pounds. So I was able to make 53 foot-pounds with just one hand and only 12 inches of leverage. Okay, well, the weather's changed now, so it's cooled off quite a bit, so we're going to hope that there's enough light here to do this. Just get started by peeling off the tape and get ready to install the new part. Okay, so you do want to work with the window open. Again, I'm working through the window for your benefit. I'm just going to peel off the tape that I put over the holes. As you can see here, I've touched up the paint across here where it's been worn off by the loose mounting of the mirror to my parts dealer, and she was able to pick it off the shelf in a matter of minutes. Again, I was lucky. If you don't live in a major metropolitan area like I do, you might not be as lucky. You might have to wait a week or two. You can also just go down to your local scrapyard and see if they've got it on the shelf. Often you can get a perfectly fine working piece for a quarter or half the price that you would pay for a new one. So, got all the studs here lined up, got the electrical connection ready to go through. Just pass it on through the door. Snap. Now, as I said before, I'm going to try and limit the amount of torque that I can put behind this nut, so I'm going to drop it into a little 1/4 inch drive socket wrench instead of using the big one that you saw me take it off with. Okay, got my nut loaded in there, and it's safetied in place with the bit of shop towel, and just find my stud, get it started. Okay, I'm fairly certain that's started now, so I'm going to pull this off so that I can get the shop towel out of there easily, and then I can put this back on and spin it down just till it's snug, because once we've got all 3 nuts in place, then we can torque them down to spec. Now, as you can see, I'm trying to limit the amount of torque I apply to this by using tiny little 1/4 inch drive socket wrench and choking up halfway on it as well. So we take it up to, there's 40 inch-pounds and a 0. We want to go to 53. So I don't know if you can see this very well, but there's 50, 11, 12, 13, 40, and 13 is 53. Alright, I'm going to just torque these down nice and even. You want to bring all the bolts snug before you try and apply the torque. I can feel, I've developed a feel for it, so I know when the spring inside is about to jump. That's the first one. I don't know if you noticed it. There's a second one. There's all 3. I'm letting go with this hand in order that it doesn't interfere with the torque I'm applying with this hand. And you see I'm doing with just 2 fingers of pressure. And that's what I am trying to impress upon you in this episode, is that some things can't take a lot of power, and you can make a lot of power. No matter how small you think you are, no matter how weak you might believe you are, you're very strong compared to small fasteners, and it's very easy to break them. So the next step is to just put it all back together. The first thing are these foam bushings that are used for soundproofing. You want to just drop them in just enough. Don't want them to fall through. There's 1, 2, 3. They're just little plugs that cover the access ports. Okay, I've got one of these little body panel plugs that I was mentioning. They hang in little bracket keepers here on the inside panel, and you can see they're all barbed and have pointed tips, and they go into a drop on in, and that's why you need that curved tool. Just get in behind it like that and it pops right out. Just this little hook like that kind of deal. Hook it into the door panel, right onto the steel inner door skin here. Sometimes that's the tricky part. Okay, pass this baby through there and work on hooking that into the door, just like that. Nice, easy. Line that up. Find our little keepers. Go. Next thing to put together after the door panel's on is this little plastic piece that it holds the door handle release. It also has the actuator for the manual door lock, and that's the tricky part. What you've got to do see the actuator there. There's this little keyhole type slot there. We've got this lock actuator here, this rod, and it's got to be lined up with that little keyhole slot. Sorry about the flashlight, but it's gotten really dark. I think it's going to rain. Okay, so you want to have both the actuator and the control here both in the unlocked position. That's how they suggest in the manual that you find the neutral position for it. And then you're just going to work your way on from the corner and snap it into place. There we go. And you can see I've got it. So all that's left is we're going to just drop a little screw in behind there, and we're done. Okay, and the last thing I'm going to do is hang a convex spotter mirror on the outside lower corner, because I used to drive a truck for a living, and I learned that the only way to drive is using spotter mirrors on both sides of your vehicle. I don't care what size of vehicle you've got, even a motorcycle, you want to have convex mirrors on both sides. Alright, as you can see, fully operational. The neighbors are all out of bed. It's been quite a morning. We'll go for a little drive and I'll show you what it looks like